Okay, guys, this is Sir Michael at Read On. Right now, I'm going to do one of my favorite reads a month ago, which is John Lennon by Philip Norman. As you can see, this book has quite some length to it, 800 or so pages. First of all, great mother effing biography. I think that John Lennon's life is fascinating, that goes without saying. But Philip Norman adds an extra element to that fascinating life. I think that one of the very fascinating things about this book is that it initially had the blessing of Yoko Ono. However, once Yoko Ono actually read the book, it no longer had her blessing. So it goes to show that not everybody is very fond of this book. So definitely Yoko Ono is not a fan. I personally thought it was fair and balanced. It explained John Lennon for who he really was. Sometimes he was the nicest guy on earth. Other times he was a complete asshole. You know, um, However, I think that one of the things that really stands out in my mind is that his relationship with Yoko Ono was very real, very genuine. I mean, the love. I can't think of another more romantic relationship, I think, in the history of music than his and Yoko Ono's. And this was a relationship where there was even infidelity on his side very early on. They eventually patched things up and they became a very strong couple until eventually he was assassinated. But, you know, um, yeah, John Lennon he was quite a character. He was, you can argue, a genius, but he was special in the sense that he was a two-part genius. The second part was Paul McCartney. I think that a lot of what John Lennon got accomplished, he probably would not have been able to get accomplished had it not been for uh, for Paul McCartney. You can argue that people like Ringo Starr and George Harrison, were replaceable or disposable. I don't know if I would argue that, but to be sure, it was him and John Lennon that really created music chemistry. I also like that this book really delved into his past, into his parents, into the beginnings of the Beatles, when they only performed skiffle music. And not only that, but their rise to international fame. Later on, his father tried to get in contact with John Lennon, and John Lennon initially didn't want anything to do with his dad, but eventually he accepted his father. His father was a Navy man. He was a seafaring uh, seaman, I guess is the term, but he was basically out of John Lennon's life for most of his youth. So later on, he came back in, and John Lennon took him back in. Actually, there's a very interesting story behind his dad too. He actually married a younger woman and ended up writing a book of his own as well as a music CD of his own that probably never sold very well. Um, but again, the life of John Lennon, or John Lennon the life, really goes into the whole story. And not only is it a biography of John Lennon, it's a biography of Paul McCartney and of the Beatles as well. It's a biography of their relationships with a lot of famous musicians, such as Bob Dylan, who apparently introduced them to marijuana. And then later on they went on to do acid and so many other drugs. And let's face it, their drug taking really inspired some of the greatest music in history. So I think for all those different reasons, I like this book, especially his portrayal towards the end of his life when he lived in New York. He kind of calmed down. He became a family man, a bona fide family man. And eventually, right before he died, he actually was going to come out with another album. So it goes into the history of all Beatles, um, Beatle history, and I think that as a biography, it stands, it passes the test of a great biography, and I would definitely recommend it. So once again, this is John Lennon, A Life by Philip Norman. Keep staying tuned to read on with Sir Michael Rivera.